Hey everyone, it's D Murthy here. On today's episode of DEETOUR, we have Daniel Kasidi, founder of Rastaclat, who I recently interviewed for some Menlo Club content. And as I walked through his office, I noticed an amazing culture of young people that were excited to be there and just a real community feeling of the company, similar to what I've been trying to do as a brand. He's done internally, and I found it very interesting. So I pulled him aside and we had a discussion about hiring people. Is it better to hire for fit? Is it better to hire for skill? How do you create that culture? How do you create that community? Some of those things I've actually struggled with as a CEO. We have over 100 employees. We have offices, we have warehouses, and it's a very hard and difficult thing to build the right company culture. So I found it interesting to see how someone else has done it. And it was really me being curious and genuinely asking questions about this topic. I think if you're an entrepreneur or you're a manager, this is a really interesting topic because these are things we're constantly dealing with. So check it out. All right, Daniel. So I came to your office, you gave us a tour. I met a bunch of your staff. And one of the things that I've been struggling with my company, so I have about 150 employees. And, our business has had its ups and downs. And one of the challenges we've had is maintaining a positive culture regardless of the success of the business. And unfortunately, when we have tough times, it's reflective of the culture.
Right.
And people are upset and angry and not happy. Also, I think we've struggled to build a community internally that I see in other businesses, and I'm trying to learn how to do it in ours. And leading by action is something I always thought would be enough, but I'm learning that that's not enough.
Right.
And I walked through your company, and I noticed everyone appeared to be happy, and they were smiling. They were happy to be at work. And I'm being honest, I walk through my staff and sometimes I don't see that.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to learn how to create that environment. And I think a lot of businesses, especially today with the younger staffs, where my staff, we hire someone, they post on LinkedIn, 15 minutes later they're getting a job offer somewhere else because they work at our company.
Wow.
So we have, we tend to have fairly high turnover.
Yeah.
So it's how do you build a community? I understand the brand mission is very positive, so you're attracting people like that. But what are you doing day in, day out to maintain that energy and that positivity and that great culture? That surface level. You could be like, nah, man, everyone hates me too. But I don't know. I got the vibe that people love it here.
I think the first and foremost is when we hire, there's a criteria of we talk about our values: passion, righteousness, integrity, discovery, and excellence. That is the basis of how we hire people, right? If people don't, not only how we hire people internally, how we bring in a supplier, a factory, a collaboration, ambassador, an athlete, the whole infrastructure is based around these values. So not only the people that we're working with internally share the same values, the people that we're working with externally share the same values. Because if we hate working with our partners externally, we're going to bring that back to the office, right? So there's that, and I think that's for us just on the baseline. That's it, and not to say that we're always happy. We have our days where there's lulls sometimes, and we have turnover at times too, and it's it takes time to kind of grind through those things, but that's a big thing. But then also, everyone at our office are friends. It's like a family.
Yeah.
I'm obviously at the helm, so I know everyone. We have a relationship, but for me it's a little bit hands off a little bit. But the staff all go out. They have dinners. They do happy hours. They go to events together, and so there's just that community. People don't mind being at work all day because they're technically working with their friends.
Yeah.
And not to say that everyone's friends, but there's definitely there's friendships that are there. And
what do you think? What do you think that you're doing that has when you hire someone? So this is a constant discussion we have internally. Do you hire for fit or do you hire for skill? I've taken the view recently. We've done both.
Yeah.
Early on in the company, when we were sub 25 people, it was friends.
Yeah.
And we had the best time. I literally had the best time of my life. We scaled enormously.
Yeah.
And I had to hire for skill. And that fucked up the energy of the company. Because I got all these quote unquote skilled people, but they weren't like me. And I think that killed the culture of the company.
Yeah.
And now we're in this process of rebuilding this energy. And I believe that you have to hire for fit over skill.
Yeah.
What's your thought? Because by the way, we're not sending rockets into the moon.
Yeah.
Nothing we do requires a skill that that only 10 people on Earth have. It's like we're in apparel. It's like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, there's a different stages of business, right? Like it's like you're building your business. A lot of times that requires friends, and you're not able to pay people the level that you need to. And then you get to the point where you want to scale your business, where you have to bring in executives, and people that have done it, and now you got suits in your office, right?
Yeah.
So I think for how we hire, it's a mixture of both. I definitely don't hire. It's a mixture. It's a heavy mixture of both. It's an equal mixture of both because I want to make sure that their values align, but then they also have the skill set. So I don't prioritize, and I actually prioritize values over skill, because skill can be learned, but like your values are your values, and you can't compromise those. You can't teach someone to be a passionate person.
Yeah.
It's like you're either passionate about what you do or you're not. So
real quickly, how do you find that on an interview?
in an interview, I mean, you just gotta
feel it.
Well, not even feel it. You gotta ask the right questions, and you can also, like, a lot of it is your gut feeling. Like if you're sitting with someone and you don't feel like they're passionate about what they're doing, or they're not bringing that passion to the interview, then how are they gonna treat your projects that you're working on?
Yeah.
How are they gonna treat? How much pride are they gonna have in what they execute? So you can feel it because we all have our instincts. And so you can feel it, but you can also ask questions. Like, one of ours is discovery. So it's like, how do you stay educated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you stay on top of things? So if someone's struggling with that question, like they don't really keep up with their industry or how they're bettering themselves or how they're learning, then I kind of know that this is probably not someone that naturally is gonna drive themselves to learn things, right? So I've formulated questions around our values and make sure that that's taken care of. And really, like, I don't really interview for skill. Mm-hmm. We have other people in the team that are much more poised to ask the right questions, unless I'm hiring it, kind of very high level and I need to be in those conversations. But when I come to the interview, I just want to make sure I'm like the gatekeeper of values.
Got it.
And then everyone else asks all the other nitty gritty questions.
Yeah, and do you think people who work for you need to be happy to be good at their job? Or can they just do, like, I look at some of our staff and I realize that for some of them it's just a paycheck. They're there, they collect the check, and they're not passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't have that bone in my body. And when I do something, it's 400% and I love it.
Yeah.
But I noticed that maybe at scale,
Yeah.
you can't get a company filled with people like that.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong that there are companies that have that at scale, but as you get bigger, is that just something we just have to learn how to deal with? That there's some people, because I always tell people, if you're not happy with what you do, you only get to live once. This isn't a fucking dress rehearsal. And like, you're gonna sit there and come to work every day unhappy?
Yeah.
Why the hell would you do that?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think people have to be happy to do a job, but they do have to be happy to do the best job, and I think at the end of the day, like, we're owners, we're founders. Like, you have to understand that people that work for us, they don't own the business, like, they are coming to work for a set amount of time, and then they have a life outside of that. I wake up and I work on my business, and I go to sleep working on my business. But if you understand that, you kind of have the empathy of where they come from, and you also curb your expectations. Right? Like, I can't expect someone to wake up at 5 a.m. and the first thing that comes out of their mind is, how do I make Rastaclat and fulfill this big
Make
purpose?
Daniel more money,
right? Or so whatever the case may be. Like, that's not their thought process, and so.
I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, if you think about a person's daily life, the most amount of time they spend doing anything is at work.
Yeah.
So why not, if that is the thing that consumes most of your time, I don't understand the point of doing it half-assed.
But I think that's the thing, is you got to have those conversations. Like, if I see like a staff member that's not happy, it's like, why aren't you happy?
Yeah.
You're probably not producing the best work for Rastaclat, and you're wasting your life.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually better that you just find a different route.
So
And
that's
yeah.
interesting you say that. That's a
Yeah.
conversation last year we had with a lot of employees
Yeah.
and said, we're both doing each other a disservice right now.
Right.
You could be pursuing something that you're actually happy doing,
Right.
and maybe you'll progress faster because you love that company or love what you do, and then we're not getting the best of you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and I think it's something that like employees should constantly think about themselves.
Yeah.
And then also employers need to
Yeah.
constantly, because as an entrepreneur, like we only know one speed,
Yeah.
right? And you give it all the time.
Right.
And I understand the concept. You can't expect that from your
Yeah.
staff, but mine is like, while you're here, be
Yeah.
happy and
Be
do the
happy.
best you can.
Absolutely. And I think, there's some companies that have a radical way of dealing with that. Zappos is like, hey, you get a $5,000 check to leave
Yeah.
today. Because at the end of the day, like onboarding someone, teaching them the culture, that's a minimum of 6 months.
Yeah.
Not only of your time, the entire staff's time,
Yeah.
HR, all the things that come along with it. That's tens of thousands of dollars that
yeah.
go into that. And not only dollars, time.
Time.
And emotion.
Yeah.
And everything that goes into it. So I actually think the companies that are like, hey, like if you're not going to be happy doing this job, I will pay you right now to not even onboard you. It's going to cost me probably 5% of what it would have cost to go 6 months and find that out.
Yeah.
And then having to change roles. So it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. But I think if you create an environment where people like to come to work and they feel like they're part of a family, we're not going to deliver happiness to people. People are responsible for their own happiness. Our job, I feel like our job is to create an environment where we can foster that and it can continue to nourish, have the nourishment to continue to grow, but we're not responsible for your happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. What about, 2 more questions. Remote working. Do you allow it, and have you considered it?
We allow it. I just had a meeting about this 15 minutes ago. So 20 minutes
Because
ago.
I get a lot of requests for that, and
Yeah.
to be honest, my first reaction is, fuck no.
Yeah.
Because I'm old school.
Yeah.
I show up at work same time every single day. My dad did, his dad did, and that's just in my blood.
Yeah.
My staff is coming saying, I'm old, I need to now evolve people remote work now.
Well, here's the honest truth, right? 40 hours. Let's say everyone works 40 hours a week. Most people, 80% of the people in your organization, are gonna work really, really hard 30 hours of that week, and they're gonna tinker around and watch some YouTube, whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
for another 10 hours, right? So that's how they take care of the whole 40 hours. I'm not saying overall, but generally speaking to most organizations. So my take is like, how can I get people to just work? If you're gonna work 30 hours a week, like I don't want to keep you for 10 hours prisoner at Rastaclat.
Yeah.
Like if you can give me 100% in the time that you're here, like I will give you time to work remote and take care of your personal business and things like that. I'll have more flexibility.
And how do you measure that?
Very difficult to measure. So in our organization, it's like you have your goals. You have your goals, and they're KPIs.
Yeah.
And they're black and white. There's no subjective conversation about did we hit our goals or not.
But is that for every department? That's my challenge.
Every single person
Got it.
in the organization, top to bottom, has some sort of KPI, a date or a number or something that they're tied to.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? Did they accomplish the goal? So I think we can get into a lot of nitpicking of hours and this and that. And we do it too. It's hard because also when you have younger staff, they don't have that experience and sometimes that professionalism to back up that privilege. But we're working towards it too. And it's always a discussion. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But
do you think the future of work environments are where the staff, a good portion of the staff is working remote and like, or everyone gets that option?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you as your company takes the personality of you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just explained, so that's why your culture and your company are going to take that feel. Like I work best when I'm not in the office.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for all the HR laws and things that are out there, I wouldn't even have hours.
Yeah.
Be like, this is what I expect by the end of the month.
Yeah.
You don't even have to talk to me if you don't want to. Like when it's done, it's done. I don't care how you spend your time. But unfortunately, state of California, we got to have laws in place, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to navigate around. But I think your business does take on the owners and the founders' personality and their mindset of how that works. And so, but it's completely fine to have people at work 40 hours a week. I think a lot of great businesses have been built by that, you know? And so I think there's two ways to skin a cat, I'm sure. So.
Amazing. Perfect.
Yeah.